very busy business week for central banks around the world starts today, the 24th of September. Welcome everyone to the program. This is your Business Morning starting this Monday with me, Bolson Nomafai. Let's get the show started from our global headquarters here at Channels Television, Lagos, Nigeria's financial epicenter. Of course, let's take just one moment to look at this week. It's a very busy one for central banks around the world. Nigeria's central bank will start today this two-day meeting. We expect the Ghana Central Bank to hold its policy rate meeting tomorrow, and on Wednesday, we're looking at the U.S. FOMC. That's the Federal Open Market Committee. All this in a week that is going to be action-packed. But let's come back to what you call the morning after. Godwin Emefiele is the central bank governor, and his team takes down the first commercial bank since he took office in 2014. On Friday, Skye Bank license was revoked. The bank was transformed into a bridge bank under a new name, Polaris Bank Limited, under the supervision of AMCON. That's the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria. The new Polaris Bank gets another fresh regulatory capital injection of 786 billion naira. The objective was to, according to NDIC statement, the objective was to return the bank to soundness and profitability to enable a subsequent sale to credible and financially sound third parties, acquirers. The NDIC says the September 24 action looks to ensure the continued safety of depositors' funds and to proactively manage potential threats to the financial system stability. So what's the road to what you call Skyfall? The central bank dissolved the Skye Bank PLC board in July 2016 because the bank failed to recapitalize to regulatory level. The bank at the time had the liquidity ratio, which was well below regulatory level, and its non-performing loans at a red-hot level. This was a major problem, and the central bank stepped in. Then the central bank installed a new management board and started liquidity injection into Skye Bank, classifying the distressed lender as systemically important. 2 years on, July this year, the central bank issued a statement, and that statement, which was actually put in the context by the company secretary of the former Skye Bank, says in the 2 years of the board's mandate, the team has stabilized the institution, entrenched sound corporate governance and risk management practices, and restored depositors' confidence. That was according to Sibodu, who was the company secretary of former Skye Bank. In that statement, which of course well publicized, the statement went on to say that in recognition of the stellar performance of the board, as of July 2018, the CBN has renewed the board's mandate for an additional 2-year term till June 30, 2020. Part of the stated board's stellar performance at former Skye Bank was now being retained by by central bank under the new Polaris Bank include the recovery of about 100 billion naira, branch network streamlining, and the selling off of 4 subsidiaries, as well as enhanced risk management. Skye Bank has no published accounts for 2016 and 2017, as well as the first half of 2018. So there are a number of questions being asked on the street. Of course, the social media has been red hot since Friday and all through the weekend. And this morning, looking at the skyline, Skye Bank PLC shares to be placed on technical suspension at the Nigerian Stock Exchange and will remain so almost indefinitely. So investors in former commercial bank now on ground zero. So how much was central bank's total injection into former Skye Bank between 2016 July and September 2018? The financial statements of the former Skye Bank for 2016 and 2017 and first half of 2018 may never be published. Or will they be published? We don't know. But what are the lessons from the previous exercise of what you call the bridge bank approach? We'll take today and the rest of the week to talk about this in a week that is heavy on the side of the central bank. What do we have on our calendar? this week. It looks as we wrap up the month of September. The National Assembly says they've changed their plenary resumption date from September 25th, that's tomorrow Tuesday, to the 9th of October, due to their own political calendar. And then we have the September 2024 to 25 CBN monetary policy holding its rate meeting with decisions on tap at lunchtime on Tuesday. We'll be live on that for you. Then analyst views are indicating a likely hold, a possible hike, but at least no cut decision is being talked about on the market street. Towards the end of the month, on the 27th, the Statistics Office will start the measurement of the country's living standard survey. The new survey will help the government improve on its governance, including projects and other things, which the measurement of the living standard will now focus on the level of poverty in the country. That's some of the stories, what we have on the calendar. Of course, this week also we have the Debt Management Office September auction for the government debt. That's to also be on tap. So this is going to be a very busy week if you stick around with us. And as always, let's bring you the best of the market and the business world. But of course, the big story is around the Skye Bank Skyfall on Friday. It's been, well, it started first. It was held up in 2016, but now the bottom seems to have fallen off, and that's the big story today. But let's we'll get more sense of this conversation moving on, and within the program, let's get to look at the market for the week we just finished. The stock market got about 0.6% in the green because investors did a bit of a comeback before the around the final day, 2 days of the week. That moderated the market. But again, if you look at year-to-date, we're still in double-digit negative territory. That's the story. Let's cross over to the stock exchange where our downtown studio is. Let's talk to Temple Ashaji for about a minute or two on this to find out how the market finished off last week. Temple, good morning. It's good to see you on the program. First, we have a very long conversation today, but let's start with where the markets finished off on Friday, even though the Skye Bank Skyfall came a little bit after the market closed. Good morning. Welcome to the program. Tempo, I'm just asking if you have the markets. Let's review the markets together for last week. Skye Bank, Skyfall, and the transformation into Polaris Bank would be a big story. Of course, it's still a big story. Folks are waking up this morning to wrap their heads around what happened on Friday. What's the implications? Of course, the depositors' funds are safe and secure. That's what the NDIC says. The central bank has revoked the operating license of Skye Bank. Now we have Polaris Bank on the street, a new name, a new board. It's on the front page of the newspapers this morning. We'll have stockbrokers and other analysts speak to this within the hour of the program, and of course tomorrow and the days ahead. But first, let's get through to the marketplace. Temple, let's get back to you. Okay, let's put that in from here when you look at the market. That's the stock market. Total market value still below the 12 trillion threshold. We finished off last Friday around 11.88 trillion naira because we had a bit of a clawback. But overall, if you look at the market, we lost about 400 billion in the week we just finished. It's been that steady decline, a bearish territory, despite a 0.66% week-on-week gain. So we claw back to 32,000. We're holding that very soft level at 32,540 on the broad index. If you look at the total transactions for the Friday, for the week, you're looking at about 1.3 billion for about 20 billion naira in about 16,000 transactions. So the market was quite active, a bit on the sell-off side. The 5 most sectors that we track here on a daily basis for you, and you can see at least 4 green shoots, and that tells you that the market was looking for a breakout point, and this week will tell whether this will be able, the bullish sentiment is beginning to make a comeback. The banking sector, 2.67, we'll see how that, if the market had priced in or priced out The Skye Bank exit from the marketplace. Consumer goods about 1% in the green. Industrial goods 2.43% positive. Insurance is about 5% in negative territory. These folks are still battling issues out with the regulator on the new reclassification and recapitalization of the sector. Oil and gas came in a very decent 2.6% for the week we just finished. Let's throw all that into headlines into Temple now at the Exchange Studios. Temple, good morning, and hope we can get you loud and clear. Join the conversation from here.
Right, good morning, Bosin. Thanks a great deal. Yes, we're talking about the oil and gas sector, which came in really decent, this time 2.6%. And that was aided by Forte Oil, which was one of the major gainers of the week in the market. And if you look at the energy stocks that we've got tracking as well, you see that it was, although negative on Friday by 4.44%, for the greater part of the week, it was really positive as it actually ended at 21 naira 50 kobo per share. Look at O&O, which was declining last week at about the tail end of last week. You had it Friday shared in some 2.86% and closing at 5 naira 10 kobo eventually. If you look at Seplat managed to come up again after some of the losses that we've seen, and that's on that counter in the past few trading sessions. Closed at 622 naira after rising some 3.67%, and investors did just 52,102 units of shares on Friday on that counter. For Total, Eternal Oil, and Global Spectrum, they were all unchanged, but you have Japol moving up by 4.35%, and that means a 24 kobo close for that oil and gas company. In terms of the unquoted securities that we've got, USI ended at 712.84 points a week-on-week basis. Now, that rose 1.98%. That's almost 2%. And that's because we've continued to see a bit of interest on that side of the market. Remember that these are unquoted securities on the stock exchange, but you have companies there that have done their private placement. However, they are yet to list in the market, either by introduction or just by having an IPO. So they are available there, and so you have investors going for some of these major companies that we have there. One of that is Afriland PLC. You also got the likes of Friesland Wamco Campina tradable on that side of the market. Investors are giving so much interest to the companies there. You also have CSCS, which is the depository of the market, as one of the major movers of that unquoted securities platform. But for volume, you have 238.97 million, valued at 123 million naira. In terms of the fixed income market, both sides of the fixed income market, talk about the bonds and treasury bills, were really, really positive for the greater part of last week. We'll begin with the bonds, where positive weekly trading dominated the bonds market. Demands contracted on the short and medium tenor bills. You got a 7 basis points movement, a decline specifically in terms of yield now on the benchmark bonds, the 7-year and the 10-year bonds. Look at February 2020 and January 2022. The yields on that moderated some 27 basis points. March 2027 as well as July 2021, as some of the securities, some of the bonds that investors specifically went for. Look at March 2027 being priced at 105 naira 70 kobo. In terms of the treasury bills market, you got a bit of mop-up last week by way of auction now by the Central Bank of Nigeria, 388 billion naira, and you had some maturities of 182 billion naira by the CBN to last week. Generally, we got 518 billion naira worth of system liquidity last week, and that continues to sustain treasury bills. Treasury bills were generally bullish. You got yields declining 151 basis points week on week, notably on the 20-day to maturities. But then this buoyant liquidity system is expected to sustain the treasury bills market for this week. But for the bond side of things, we're seeing that being bearish. average, according to analysts now, and that's not far-fetched because you have the CBN MPC meeting commencing today, and tomorrow the decision will be revealed to the media. All of that is what we expected to shape the decision of investors. Bosun.
Yeah, Tempo, thank you so much. Quite a very busy week ahead for everyone. We'll get to the Skybank, Skyfall later on. Quite a lot story, backlog of stories around these commercial banks. The first to be taken off the street since Godwin Emefiele got into the central bank in 2014. We'll look at this story in more details. What's there for investors? Depositors have their cover already, but investors are on the street side. Let's take that after the break. You're watching Business Morning.